Right, so if you clicked on this, there's a chance, albeit a minute one, that you were enticed by the title. Ooh, a confession. What could he mean? The reason I've done that is partially to do with it, I'll admit, but it's also more to do with I see a lot of these big content creators and they have fairly laconic or, minute type of titles that are just kind of intriguing in their own right. They don't always necessarily relate to the video at hand, or it doesn't specify anything in particular. But they can do that because they have massive followings, and whatever they call their videos makes no difference. They're going to get the clicks and the views and all of that kind of stuff. But that shouldn't put me off doing it if I fancy doing it. So why not, this will either be the make or break as to whether you just jump on another fucking video, really. But here we go. Yeah, this is a kind of response to the I'm 38 years old and I've never had a girlfriend video, which I put out, I think, around June last year, which is really scary to say because it's ages ago. But I wanted to follow up on it, I guess, with one in mind that I'm revamping. So I'll be doing more kind of chilled out, talky kind of head videos where I just take a topic, and I'll get more into that toward the end. And also to kind of admit that it's bullshit. If I need to do that, and the reason why I feel that I need to omit that the never had a girlfriend vid was total bollocks, is for a number of reasons that I'll now allay, I suppose. Yeah. I suppose it was initially inspired by the sheer amount or voluminous quantity of such type videos out there. And it wasn't ever really in mockery of the people who do put those videos out from a sincere and authentic viewpoint. It was a little bit, I'll admit, a tiny bit, but in a kind of playful, happy-go-lucky kind of, trolling type of way. And at the same time, I wanted to make my own because it's kind of a response in its own right, I guess, to those types. But yeah, I'll admit here, it's complete fabrication for the most part. I mean, I've had more women than you've had hot dinners. That's not a brag. I'm just going to say it. Yeah, I've been quite successful in that realm, let's say. I can talk about that more if you want in future vids. I'm not particularly proud of it, if I'm in all honesty, but I don't hold it against myself either. It's one of those weird things as a male where, yeah, you have this societal pressure to be successful with women, and women like guys who are successful with women. So you have a lot of motivation to do it. But at the same time, I think the negative effects on your mental health and just self-worth in general aren't done any favors. I've detailed this in the book behind me quite a lot. So if you are, for some reason, intrigued to know what it did to me mentally, that's the book you want to read, the one with the red cover. But yeah, I could go into more detail with that in future if this kind of thing proves to be moderately worthwhile. But to get back to the 38 years old and never had a bitch vid, even though I've just said it's total fiction, the actual event in place, the premise of it, the fact that I actually went to the station to meet a girl I'd been chatting to on, I think, MSN Messenger at the time, that's true. That isn't a lie. I was stood up, ghosted before being ghosted was a thing, and I was a virgin at the time. I think it was only like a year later that I lost it. To be honest, I can't remember. It might have been 2 years and I might have been 14. I can't remember. But I could figure it out if I dated it back. I think when I have actually written a story that will be out, and it's a similar title to the video I made. And I suppose I did have a slight intent to actually create a written piece that is kind of a similar ilk, and there'll be a link to the video in the ebook. I'm kind of playing around with styles and whatever you want to call it these days, but yeah, just to focus on the topic at hand. Yeah, the actual act of going to meet a girl who I thought I was talking to, and then she didn't turn up, and just to extend it, she did tell me that she fucked some other dude like a day or two later, and was like all apologetic and shit. But all the other stuff about the bag of revels and the fantasies of her being a fatty and feeding her chocolate, that's all complete nonsense. I just made it up to kind of fit in with some of the rejection stories I've heard on other videos and things like that. And plus, because I write stories, I wanted to make it far more interesting than the actual reality of, oh, I went to a train station, got stood up, and then the girl snubbed me, basically, because she jumped in bed with another dude. But I suppose the more embarrassing thing of that story is I'm not entirely sure if I wasn't trolled or catfished by a friend. A friend who, well, not even that long ago, I think 2 years ago, he killed himself. So who's laughing now, bitch? But yeah. I think he might have been pretending to be a girl and, talking to me online. I have a suspicion of that, which I'm about 50-50. I don't really know whether that's the case. It could have been. It wouldn't surprise me with this particular individual. He was a bit troll-esque like myself. But the level to which he went to was a bit mental, I thought. Like, it kind of says more about him than it did me being gullible enough to believe it, But yeah, that I suppose that would be the actual true story if I was to detail it. And I wanted to confess that mainly because a couple of weeks after I put that video out, I received an email from some guy who seemed very grateful about the video I'd made. And he admitted to me that he was essentially put inside a psychiatric unit or some sort of mental institution because he said something, just, having a conversation amongst friends, I think at college or might have been high school in the US. And it was a bit off the cuff or off color type of joke. Maybe it might have even been about Sandy Hook or something like that. And due to their concern, these supposed friends of his went and told, who knows, a teacher or higher upper. And then they, in their concern, actually reported him to the kind of mental health facility within the school, or one that worked with it. And he was actually committed. It was a horrifying story. And I didn't even know this kind of stuff happened in the US, but I have since read Stephen King's Guns, and he said something about if he was writing Rage in this present time, it's likely if a teacher happened to read it, he would have ended up in some sort of attention or detention center because they would fear that he would become the next ER or something like that. Which is, talk about a kind of Minority Report actually being in reality, And I felt pretty guilty, if I'm honest, about the fact that he took so much truth from it, or he actually got, he was touched. And I'm still touched that he was touched by it. And I do kind of let myself off the hook a little bit, mainly because if my purpose is to evoke and provoke, or to move, or to just be thought-provoking or moving in some sort of artistic kind of sense, then it doesn't matter that it's a lie, because I've still hit on a truth that has been relatable. So it's a little bit of a convenient mindset maybe, but that's the kind of life of somebody who creates. It's like you do feel sometimes a little bit immoral, I suppose. And it's not that I actually think of myself in that way because of that fucking stupid video, but in the same sense, it did feel a little bit off to I suppose sense or feel as if I hoodwinked him a little bit and tricked him, because I wasn't trying to trick anyone for my own malicious intent or anything like that. I'm actually glad it did move someone to actually get in contact with me. And if you do ever watch this, I apologize for not replying to your email. I was actually quite moved by it myself and felt awkward about the creation I'd made and its effect. But yeah, I mean, I suppose that's the thing nowadays, is like or at least I definitely have some sort of weird issue with authenticity in videos. So this is uncomfortable for me. I don't do this kind of stuff. But I'm kind of thinking, why? And there was a few comments to that video that were kind of questioning, like, what? Why have you done this? Like, what's the purpose of it? And really, if I was to strip it down, it's just to tell a story, and that's it. And it's to tell a story that's mildly based on the truth, but fictionalized to entertain, which is kind of like my modus operandi when it comes to authorship in general. And I don't, some of the stuff in Fubar that is true is more horrifying than if I made shit up, or more than the stuff that I actually made up, I would say. Like, it's more harrowing to know that a certain girl told me a certain thing or whatever, But yeah, I did feel a little bit at a crossroads with that for a while. And that's why I'm making this vid. And this is the kind of vein in which I'd like to carry on this particular series of videos. So whilst it will be, the reason I have problems with the whole idea of it being authentic is more, I'm talking to a camera. I can make up anything I want. I can make myself come across how I want. Like, there's only so much faith you can place in the fact that I could tell you, oh, this is the first take. It's not. It's the second take, because the first 2 minutes I stumbled on the words and I was like, this is shit. Stop this, re-record. And so far, I'm 13 minutes, 40 seconds in now. And yeah, but I can tell you that, but I could still manipulate it in a Premiere Pro or whatever, and it won't be 13 minutes, 40 seconds, because I had a vape at the beginning, but I wanted to make it look like I was smoking a cigarette. Oh, fucking hell. So yeah, obviously I have some weird thing with this authenticity style, but I kind of think I should challenge myself on that and actually hold myself accountable for what I put out there. Because I do think people do throw things in a broadcast sense without much mind of what impact it might have. And maybe I'm already somewhat guilty of doing that, but I kind of feel like the only way to address it is to start doing it myself. So yeah, we're looking, and to be honest, I'm a dark motherfucker. So yeah, these videos are going to be tackling some pretty odd insights or feelings regarding women, especially, but also just probably topics that are usually censored on YouTube. I might try and dance around that in terms of like what words I can use, but yeah, self-deletion, or at least the ideation of that, that's a topic that fascinates me, mainly because I think literature mainly boils down to sex and death. So the two are just, you know, locked, intertwined, and all of that kind of stuff. But also other things of like the past and how things like that have affected me and my own psychology. And it's kind of, maybe that would be interesting to, it might be just pure narcissistic drivel, I'll admit, but I'm hoping it will be entertaining. And yeah, this is the first of those vids. Thanks again for watching, the 38 years old video. It was a bit of a goof, but I had a laugh, and I was quite pleased. Some people said my acting was shit. Suck on that, or swivel on it, because I actually think it was pretty good overall. And yeah, sometimes I miss that, and that was another reason I made it, because I actually trained as an actor, you know, long time ago now. I think 13 years ago, nearly 14. And sometimes I just want to do that, and I don't have any, you know, capacity to, other than flicking on the phone and seeing what I can do. But yeah, cheers for watching. There's nothing else to say really, but I'll see you next time.